Hi, welcome to Real Estate Insiders TV. I'm Danny Poulos with the Elite Lending Team at Blue Chip Lending, and our guest today is Jennifer Malt. She is the broker and owner of My House Realty Group in Jupiter, and her new office is located right in the Jupiter Inlet Village, what some of you know as the Funky Fishing Village, and we're going to find out what that's all about. So Jennifer, tell everybody who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it.
Okay, thanks for having me, Danny. I'm Jennifer Malt. I've been in the real estate business for 15 years. I just relocated our boutique real estate firm to the Jupiter Inlet Village, and we're really excited to open up.
What is the Jupiter Inlet Village? Wait, first, where is it?
Where is it? Okay, well, it's right next to the Jupiter Inlet from US 1, and you would go A1A over to, like, do you know where that little mini golf place
Yep.
is? So it includes Utiki, Guanabanas, Square Grouper. We're right next to Square Grouper, and all the other little areas. There's some homes, residential, and other office buildings.
Yes,
in that
so
area.
there's already sort of like landmark places in there. All those places you mentioned, people have been frequenting lately.
Yeah,
so you get a picture of where we're talking about and right up to the water.
It's becoming a happening spot, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it's funky. That's why it's happening.
Yeah.
So what's the history of that area?
The history is the Hobe Indians and the Tequesta Indians, they were settlers there, and then later the Europeans, when they came, they put in the lighthouse, they put in the Celestial Railroad, which a lot of people didn't even know existed, that went from the Jupiter Inlet over to Juno Beach.
Right.
And there was a port there. They would import goods, and that's how they would move them. People came, built homes there, people would vacation there because it's so beautiful. It started to become a village, and then the Great Depression happened, and the East Coast Railroad was put in, US 1 from Jacksonville to Miami, and things sort of shifted westward, and because of the Great Depression, the building sort of stopped.
So I mean, from the beginning, it's sort of been a kind of cultural hub.
Yes.
Right, from the Indians, and then being a destination also for business and traffic in the port. So it's been quite some time since anything happened there, though.
Right. Yes, we've preserved it well. There's, the Carlin House and Du Bois. I mean, that's pretty much original. There is also the Sperry Boathouse, and that's original. It's if you've seen it, you've gone down the intercoastal or the inlet, and it's covered. It looks like it's dilapidated, but
can you see it from Guanabanas?
No, you can't see it from Guanabanas.
Most of you probably haven't seen it then.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you would have had to be on a boat going out the inlet.
All right, and that's being renovated also, you were explaining.
It is. They just put in for permitting, and they're calling it a restoration, and they're going to try to make it almost exactly how it was. It's 3 stories, but because of ADA compliance, they had to add some other things, bathrooms and an elevator and other things that might not have been in the original, because it was built in 1902.
For what kind of use? What are they going to use the building for?
Well, it's going to be very similar to its original use. The first floor is going to have, 3 boat slips in the boathouse. They're going to put like plexiglass over it. You're going to be able to walk over it.
Right.
It's going to be historic with pictures and information. You can have events there. The second story also you can have events, and then the rooftop is.
So it's going to be like
a
a civic center kind of idea. People the residents of the town can rent it out and have.
Yeah.
Events there?
Yeah.
I can't wait to have an event
I know.
And
you get a view of the inlet plus the lighthouse.
Absolutely. Yeah. So where did Funky Fishing Village, that name, come from?
I'm not exactly sure. Somebody, I think a council member, because the town of Jupiter's really been for this, and they threw it out there and it sort of just stuck. But as far as a fishing village, there's still commercial fishermen that come there and they sell their catch right at the end of Love Street.
I like the name Funky. Forget this Jupiter Inlet. Let's just call it Funky Fishing. And I know you're really involved, so that's what we want to get to. I mean, you're sort of like a go-to person down there in a lot of ways, a liaison between the community and the government. So explain how you got involved and what that entails.
Well, being from Jupiter, born and raised, I saw all this construction happening, with Harborside and a lot of talk about the redevelopment of the Jupiter Inlet Village. And I became passionate about it. I wanted to know more about it. I started following it. I wanted to put my office there. I bought a piece of property there. But then it became more than that. I started meeting the developers. I started meeting some of the local people who live there. I started hearing people's concerns. I went to the meetings, the town council meetings. I've been going, to the developer meetings. And
what are the concerns of the people of the area?
Well, I started hosting women's meetings to get input from the local people because there's some people who are very excited about it and they have great ideas to share, and we want to hear what those ideas are. And the developers ask me, share anything that people come up with. That would be great. And then we get some people who are a little cautious. They're a little nervous that, is it going to end up like a concrete jungle? They want to preserve the natural state of the area. And
they don't want another city place in Jupiter.
Yes. It's a unique place and they want to preserve that. But the developer does too. And he's been very open to all of the suggestions and the feedback. So I've been hosting these women's meetings, two nights a month. And I get people, all types of people that come and either in support or against it. But my feeling is, communication is something that you need across the board. Whether you're selling real estate, you're talking to your child, anything like that. There have been some people who have shut down in anger and frustration, and I understand that, but I want them to feel like they're being listened to, and I also feel like any feedback we can give the developer so that we end up getting, he wants to give us what we want. He wants this to be successful. I want this to be successful. I don't want it to be a concrete jungle. I want it to be unique. We all do, something organic, something where you feel like it's beachy, and you can bring your kids or you can bring your parents. It's for everyone. There's going to be. The ideas are that it's going to be mixed use. There'll be residential, some restaurants, commercial, retail, and all local. We don't want a bunch of.
Well, I think people's most recent memory, and there's two very strong sides to it, would be the Harborside development, which is 5 minutes away.
Right.
So. Some people love what happened, some people don't like what happened, but it sounds like you're sort of trying to get everybody on the same page between the developer and the residents there.
Yeah, and I don't think that's impossible. I'm taking what everyone's feedback is, and I'm helping, bridge that gap between the two. I'm also, taking names and numbers, contact information of anybody who would want to open up a little shop, anybody who would want to open up a little, we're talking about, maybe we already have some larger restaurants there, and the resort, but we're also talking about having kiosks and smaller spaces for the local artist, who does
Where would all that be? Is that something that has to be
built? We're talking about art festivals. We're talking about, food trucks, all sorts of just, you can call it funky, but it's unique, it's eclectic, it's local, and not have, we don't want Publix there. I love Publix, and I am a Floridian, but how about just a market that does, fresh fruits and vegetables and that are, locally grown? That's
point is there going to be a lot of new construction down there? Is there going to be land available? Are they going to be building all this stuff?
Right. Yeah, there are. There's the Sunny Sands property that is in the works for future development, and there's also the parking lot and all the way from A1A and Love Street to the water. And there's also an outdoor center that they do paddle boarding and such, and that's at the end. There's a dock there, and that's where the commercial fishermen come in. So those two pieces and any other pieces that surrounding are going to be, they're going to be.
Will there be new residential properties in there too? Then, what type will that be?
Well, we're looking at. We haven't decided totally, or they haven't, I shouldn't say we, I'm just giving feedback, but they haven't really decided. It's still being talked about, but we're, it could be 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, townhomes, live, work, but we want it to be a village. We're calling it a village. So we want people to live there, and we want people to live there year round, and we don't want it to be, dark and lights out, unless it's season. We want this to be a place for local people to come and live and work and,
So if people are interested in not only new businesses and funky businesses to bring down there, or residential, these are things that are still in the primary stages. You're just talking to the developer now, sort of
Right.
figuring out what's going to go there, right?
It's conceptual. We've got conceptual plans and they are morphing.
So it's not something that's just going to mushroom out of the ground like Harborside did, and people say, "Oh, there it is."
No,
and
and there's been a little bit of talk of possibly constructing a little bit at a time,
right.
you know, so that it's not just one whole piece, but there's different, you know, sections that it's.
So really, the reason you're here is because you're sort of spearheading that communication between the developer and the local people in the area, and of course
Right.
you open your real estate office
Right.
there in the village. So
I
for
wanna-
people watching, it's not just if you're thinking of investing or having a business down there, or if you're looking to buy residential, if you're just concerned about what's going on, then you would be the person to talk to about that.
Right. If you just want to talk and you want your voice
Right.
heard, if you want to come to the meetings, if you want to find out any updates about what these concepts are,
Right.
what the ideas are, if you are looking to open up a little coffee shop, a little boutique, a little, you know, anything, the more interesting, the more off the wall, the more unique. We don't want this to be like every other city.
Right.
We want it to be unique, and we want it to, you know, have that local organic feel. And I think that was the concerns of most people was, you know, they love like the guanabanas.
Right.
Well, we can have that. We can have a lot of that.
Right.
You know, we can have a lot of cool concepts. But I'd love to hear from everybody, because the more feedback that we get, the more creative we can get.
Absolutely.
With this.
So for all our funky, fresh locals, get in touch with Jennifer if you want to be involved. And Jennifer,
Right.
tell them how to do that.
You can call me at 561-203-1234. Email is info@myhouserealty.com, or go to the website at www.myhouserealty.com.
Get involved, get funky. Thanks for coming in today. It was great.
Yeah, thanks.